This is CBN News Watch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Wendy Griffith. Today is Tuesday, December 30th. Well, in what was described as an historic day, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with President Trump for the 6th time since he took office in January. They talked about Iran and Hamas and agreed they're on the same page most of the time. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl has more on our top story from Jerusalem.
After their meeting in Mar-a-Lago, Florida, President Trump said there is very little difference in where he and Netanyahu stand on issues and where they want to go. Netanyahu agreed.
I think we have a partnership, if I can quote you, second to none. I think it's allowed us to do enormous things. He's achieved remarkable things in the Middle East because we work together. We talk about our ideas. Sometimes we have different ideas, but we work it out. And most of the time we see eye to eye.
As reports continue to emerge about Iran rebuilding its missile arsenal, President Trump indicated that another strike on Iran could be on the agenda.
I hope they're not trying to build up again, because if they are, we're going to have no choice but very quickly to eradicate that buildup.
Before their meeting, Trump told reporters that he would back another Israeli strike on Iran if necessary, but later added he wouldn't say they are close to another war with Iran.
Iran may be behaving badly. It hasn't been confirmed, but if it's confirmed, look, they know the consequences. Consequences will be very powerful, maybe more powerful than the last time.
Closer to Israel, Hamas has long passed its agreed-upon deadline to disarm. Trump says it will be horrible if they don't give up their weapons.
It's going to be really, really bad for them. And I don't want that to happen. But they made an agreement that they were going to disarm. And you couldn't blame Israel.
Before their meeting, Trump created some confusion when asked if Israeli President Isaac Herzog would pardon Netanyahu, who was accused of using his position to swap favors with influential benefactors.
I think he will. How do you not? He's a wartime prime minister who's a hero. How do you not give a pardon? I think it's a very hard thing not to do it. I spoke to the president, and he tells me it's on its way.
Herzog's office put out a statement shortly afterwards saying the two presidents hadn't spoken since the pardon request was submitted, and that a few weeks ago Herzog had spoken with a Trump representative. During that conversation, an explanation was provided regarding the stage of the process in which the request currently stands, and that any decision on the matter will be made in accordance with the established procedures. During Trump and Netanyahu's lunch, Israel announced it would award President Trump the Israel Prize for his tremendous contributions to Israel and the Jewish people. It's the first time the prize will be given to a non-Israeli since it began in 1953.
This reflects the overwhelming sentiment of Israelis across the spectrum. They appreciate what you've done to help Israel and to help our common battle against the terrorists and those who would destroy our civilization.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Thanks, Julie. Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joins us now. Chris, after this meeting between Trump and Netanyahu, disarming Hamas still remains an issue. What are the possible ways forward?
Well, there's a few issues or ways forward right now, Wendy. First of all, I think the main one would be that the IDF would go in and disarm Hamas, destroy it, which is one of the main goals of the war ever since October 7th. The other alternatives is that actually, and this has been promoted, we believe, from Turkey, Qatar, and even Egypt, that Hamas would be allowed to keep their arms until there would be a Palestinian entity that would be formed, and then they would give their arms to that Palestinian entity. That's a non-starter for Israel, and I think that's one of the reasons why they met yesterday at Mar-a-Lago, to make sure that Netanyahu and Trump, the U.S. and Israel, were on the same page about destroying Hamas and also disarming them. And we'll see if President Trump's vow that it's really going to be very bad for Hamas if they don't disarm. We'll see what's going to happen in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, I don't see how they have another choice but to disarm. Well, over in Iran, Chris, there's been more protests. What are they protesting about, and does this represent a threat to the regime there?
Well, first of all, they're protesting about the economy. The economy is failing. The currency has fallen dramatically ever since the war and ever since even since October 7th. And when all these proxy armies in the Middle East that have been degraded by Israel, that's one thing. The other thing, they're actually running out of water, believe it or not. And so there's a crisis right now. And even the president of Iran said the protesters do have a point of what they're protesting about. Now, whether or not this represents a threat to the regime, there have been protests throughout the last 20 years or so. Tragically, many of them have been suppressed brutally, and they haven't threatened the regime as it, since it keeps going and it keeps this brutal dictatorship going. But we'll see. I know that's the prayer of many people, that this regime that has suppressed its people for more than 40 years will finally fall.
Absolutely. And Chris, a new report just came out about Syria's new education system, very controversial. What are the concerns?
Well, it's very troubling, Wendy, because what it does is that we have 70 schools and more apparently on the way, and they're teaching Sharia law. They're teaching Islamic ideology that really threatens Israel in the generations. We're just teaching another generation to have an Islamic regime. It's very troubling because what it does signal, Wendy, is that this regime is trying to indoctrinate the next generation with their jihadist ideology that would pose a threat to Israel, pose a threat to Christians and any minorities right there. Very troubling report. It came out from the Alma Research and Education Center that has been tracking this and tracking the new regime, which really is showing indications, despite what President Trump is doing, and they're taking off the sanctions, it really shows signs of an Islamic regime is being formed right on Israel's border.
All right, Chris, you have a great show called Jerusalem Dateline. 30 seconds. Tell us what's going to go down today.
Well, Wendy, we're looking back on what this year was. I mean, from January 2025 to January 2026, such amazing, dramatic, historic, even biblical events happening in the Middle East. We're going to be talking about that with Julie Stahl, John Waggy, and Joshua Swanson on this week's Jerusalem Dateline.
All right, Chris, great to see you. Stay warm. I know where you are is very chilly as well. CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell, we appreciate you. God bless.
Thanks, Wendy.
Well, back here at home, a winter storm is making life difficult for millions from the plains to the Great Lakes. In some areas, it's as much as 50 degrees colder now than it was just yesterday. Brody Carter has more.
The Weather Service is calling this system a bomb cyclone, one that strengthens rapidly as temperatures dramatically drop, creating a wall of wind and snow. From Minnesota and Iowa to New York and Maine, the powerful storm dropped some of the heaviest snow in nearly 3 years in New York City.
It was very unexpected. Like, we looked at the weather on Monday and it was like, oh, there's no snow.
But what fell as a winter wonderland for some quickly became a headache for others.
Well, I was supposed to go to Tampa at like 2:20, and now we're not leaving till 4:30.
Nationwide, nearly 750 flights were canceled Monday, with thousands more delayed.
It has been a journey. It has been a journey. I've had delays in Chicago, stayed overnight. Yeah, pretty stressful.
For thousands, the journey home has become an ordeal measured in days, not hours.
Nothing you could do about it. Just go with the ride. Mother Nature and God, you can't fight it.
On the roads, drivers faced near whiteout conditions. In Iowa, state troopers reported dozens of crashes. At least one was deadly. The situation was just as dangerous further east, with several major pileups snarling roadways in Michigan. While winter tornadoes touched down in Illinois, snapping trees and damaging cars in the city of Pontiac. Nearly 220,000 customers were without power Monday night, with over a third of them in Michigan. And the tough weather isn't over. Forecasters warn the coldest air is still settling in, with life-threatening wind chills possible tonight. The message from officials is simple. This is not a typical winter storm, and travel will remain risky. Brody Carter, CBN News.
Thanks for that, Brody. Well, coming up, a Ukrainian soldier who lost both of his legs after getting hit by a Russian mortar. Watch as he takes his first step since the attack and meet the team who made it possible. Stay with us. You're watching CBN News Watch. Welcome back to CBN News Watch. Wounded warriors have given everything for their country, and many refuse to give up on life. Some 50,000 Ukrainians have lost their limbs in battle since 2022. Today, they're walking, working, and back to serving their nation. George Thomas has their inspiring story from Kyiv.
For 23-year-old Ukrainian soldier Vladislav Chup, the journey back to life began with love.
The first thing I thought about was Diana, because if something happens to me, I didn't know how she would live through it.
March 9th, 2024. It's roughly 9 in the evening. Vlad and a fellow soldier are serving in Bakhmut, eastern Ukraine, when suddenly the Russians launch a 82mm mortar at their position.
It exploded in front of me. I fell back. There was a sharp pain below my waist. I looked down and understood the extent of my injuries.
And in the process, Vlad loses both his legs.
It's a miracle he's alive. When the mortar exploded, the shrapnel scattered all over the ground and only hit his legs and didn't hit his torso or his head.
His future looked uncertain, but Diana never wavered. She visited him in the hospital each day, fed him, cared for him, prayed over him.
He's the love of my life, and I cannot imagine my life without him. If had to choose between two evils, it's better him being alive and losing both limbs than him dead, and I'm left without him.
By May, they were married. After months of grueling rehab, Vlad took his first steps on prosthetic legs.
It was not my time to die. I still have a mission that I need to fulfill in this world.
All made possible by Protest Foundation, a Ukrainian Christian-led organization co-founded by Yura Arozhedze.
Dr. Yakov, my co-founder, and I are believers who share Christian values. When the war began, we sought ways to help, and we felt God place it on our hearts to serve by providing prostheses.
Since 2022, the foundation has helped more than 1,000 Ukrainian service members regain mobility. Inside the Protest Foundation's facility, medical director Ilya Ivanets guides us through the complex stages of crafting a prosthesis, from molding to fitting to the training every patient must undergo.
The main objective of our center is to help patients transition from lying in bed or using a wheelchair to using a prosthesis as quickly as possible so they can regain independence and feel a renewed sense of dignity.
Each story, while devastating, also inspiring, such as 27-year-old Ukrainian soldier Rudyakov Stanislav.
I started to set up the electric detonator and engage the munitions.
On November 5th, 2024, in Ukraine's Sumy region, near the Russian border, while preparing to launch a drone, he came under fire.
The blast wave triggered the FPV drone and it exploded.
The explosion took both of his eyes and his hand.
It was psychologically difficult, and then I realized that I needed to move on and keep going because life doesn't end.
At Protest, Stanislav is learning to rebuild his world, literally by touch. A mechanical arm is being fitted for him, and specialists are training him to navigate life without sight. The foundation's mission extends beyond service members. In Ukraine's Kherson region, 15-year-old Victoria Zanitsprana lost her arm when a missile struck her home. Now, thanks to Protest, she's learning to lift objects with her new robotic arm. A small movement that means the world to her and her family. Non-profit groups like Protest estimates that close to about 50,000 Ukrainians have lost limbs since Russia's invasion of this country back in 2022. And what they are doing here is absolutely essential, giving men like this gentleman a chance at a new life.
These are push-ups that strengthen his muscles so he can support himself when standing up. It's easier for him because he used to play sports and train regularly, so physical exercises come more naturally to him.
Occupational therapist Bonda Rostislav is preparing Denis Ivashenko for his trip to the United States, where he'll receive custom-made prosthetics due to the severity of his injuries. Ivashenko survived a direct Russian mortar strike in August while serving in the Sumy region. The shell landed in his trench. The soldier beside him died instantly. Like all recipients, Ivashenko's travel and prosthetics are fully covered by the foundation. Once he returns, he says God is calling him to serve others who've been wounded in battle.
God wants me to minister to people who have gone through similar difficult situations in their lives and to be someone who can support them.
And today, Vladislav is not just walking again, he's back in the fight, conducting covert missions deep inside Russian-occupied territory.
The war hasn't ended yet, so we need to keep fighting. And that's the highest motivation to continue living and to do everything possible to bring peace back to Ukraine.
For Diana, the relief and gratitude are immeasurable. Thankful that, despite everything, her beloved survived.
At first, I was asking why he lost his legs, but later I realized it's a blessing that it's only his legs. Legs are just a means of getting around. Thankfully, he still has his arms. He can feel, his eyesight is intact, and he will eventually be able to see our children and hear their voices. I'm truly thankful to God for that.
George Thomas, CBN News, Kyiv, Ukraine.
A recent film is bringing a dark chapter of history back into the global conversation. Nuremberg, starring Russell Crowe, recreates the trials of Nazi leaders after World War II. And once again, audiences see the reality that anti-Semitism led to the Holocaust. Paul Petit brings us this story from Jerusalem.
You are standing inside a secret military prison. It houses what's left of the Nazi high command.
When Hollywood releases a historical drama, it often leads to conversations about the past. Nuremberg is doing just that.
For sure, I think everyone needs to see this movie. It's living evidence that everything can happen again.
The psychological thriller casts Russell Crowe as Nazi leader Hermann Goering.
It was very genuine. It was very real.
The governments of Russia, France, Great Britain, and our United States will put these men on trial for their lives.
The film recreates how these trials expose the Nazi atrocities against the Jews to the world. With anti-Semitism still making global headlines, it's had a major impact on moviegoers here in Israel.
I hope this movie does well for the sake of the world, humanity, for the sake of the Jews especially.
For some audiences, Nuremberg provides a jarring big-screen visual of genocide in progress.
We've been to Poland in high school here in Israel, but I think it was the first time I get to see an authentic German reaction to that. That was very surprising.
For others, it's a reminder of the Jewish plight.
This final solution. 6 million people were killed in 6 years.
Goering has proven to be the architect behind the Nazis' final solution, the systemic extermination of Europe's Jewish population.
I hope that by seeing what happened historically in Nazi Germany with the Holocaust, and not only the fact that 6 million Jews were murdered, but civilization was destroyed.
Dr. Charles Asher Small is the founder of the Institute for the Study of Global Anti-Semitism and Policy.
I think it's important that people are educated in Holocaust studies, what happened in the Holocaust, and how a vibrant, democratic, civilized country was undermined by Nazism and extremism.
Dr. Small says the post-war trials became a blueprint for the United Nations.
The Nuremberg laws gave way to international human rights laws. It gave way to the creation of the United Nations, which was supposed to help defend against radical, anti-democratic, extreme entities like communism and Nazism and promote human rights.
Fast forward 80 years, and that deadly hatred, unfortunately, again surges around the world.
Why did anti-Semitism start to begin with? Why? What is the reason for anti-Semitism?
Anti-Semitism strikes a strong nerve here at Yad Vashem, a museum and memorial dedicated to preserving, documenting, and teaching the truth of the Holocaust.
Yad Vashem has the biggest Holocaust archive in the world.
Room by room, image by image, visitors here are confronted with the raw reality of Nazi hate.
Every Jew has to be murdered. And when they even had an island off of Greece that only had 3 Jews, the boat that had taken the Jews was stopped there just to pick up those 3 Jews as well and take them to the death camps. I think that can give us a very clear definition of genocide.
Both of Weisberg's parents survived the Holocaust. Yad Vashem displays how it all started with bias and misinformation.
It shows the way that Hitler and his collaborators were able to take words and turn them into murder.
You want to know why it happened here? Because people let it happen.
For a world now grappling with rising anti-Semitism, many hope the Nuremberg movie does more than entertain. They hope it will open the eyes of a new generation to what can happen when hatred goes unchecked.
We have to educate. We have to disseminate the information that we gather here. And yes, we have to fight anti-Semitism. I don't know what the future will bring, but I remain hopeful. My parents could not have survived. I could not have been standing here, but I am. And I stand here as a proud grandmother of 33 grandchildren, Israeli grandchildren, that love their country, love the land, love God, and continue on as a proud Jewish people.
Paul Petit, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Paul, such a great story. Stay with us. We are CBN News Watch, and we'll be right back. As we head into 2026, can you believe we're already there? Americans are making their New Year's resolutions. Number 1, you guessed it, exercise more. 25% say that is their top resolution in a poll from YouGov. After that, 23% say being happy. That's a great resolution. 22% choose to eat healthier. 21% say saving more money, always a good idea. And of course, improving your spiritual health is a very good idea for a New Year's resolution as well. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. We hope you'll join us next time. From all of us here, have a great day. Happy New Year, and God bless you.